Welcome guys to a Marvel Snap tournament. It's a $100 tournament that I'm playing in, and my first opponent is a fan of the channel. We're playing DoomWave, which you can see above. I've made one change from my list from last season, which is getting rid of Lizard and putting Aero in. Aero gives us like a nice late game option. Lizard got nerfed, and also just in an open deck list format, I think having a threat of Aero or Doom is going to be quite important. So our first opponent is playing a Sera deck, which is definitely good for us. We have a pretty nice curve here. We could consider snapping. I think let's like take it easy to begin with. They have no Killmonger either. Pass on turn 1 is very good for them, so we're not feeling too bad that we didn't snap. Big House, kind of good for both players. They do have Enchantress, which is going to be a problem for a couple of our cards potentially. They also have the Zabu, so they have also had like their perfect curve. Wave is a really good find for us. Feeling good that we didn't snap when they have Bast into Zabu. We're of course looking for Wave on 5. So we're looking for something to play alongside our Goose this turn. We're also looking for the She-Hulk still. Now Dark Hawk is a little bit risky because of Enchantress. It does open us up to that. With Zabu down on the board and potentially a Sera, we could just avoid playing it entirely. But Goose is not really offering much. I suppose we just play the Dark Hawk left. But it's definitely not the best in this matchup. The key thing here is that we have the Wave. We do draw the She-Hulk. Whether we snap or not is a big question. I think we should, because we can maybe Aero that card away from the Dark Hawk, but it's also going to be tricky to do that. I think we just don't snap. I think we just like, even though we've had like a really nice hand, they've also had a super nice curve. It's a really tricky decision to make here. I feel like we probably should snap considering we have She-Hulk Aero, but we're not in the strongest of positions. If we are going to snap, we're going to leave it very late, right? They're most likely going to go Sera, which with Zabu down on the board as well, their 4-cost cards are only going to cost 2. So they could play like Shang-Chi, Enchantress, Absorbing Man all together. So we almost like don't want initiative, right? I think we don't snap. It's actually looking like a tougher matchup than I imagined.
All systems go.
So they can play a max of 3 cards, which means most likely they're playing 2 cards. But with Zabu and Sera, they could have exactly Enchantress, Shang-Chi, Absorbing Man. So we're going to Aero. We can't Aero mid. They can actually play stuff mid also. They could Enchantress my Mr. Fantastic maybe. She-Hulk mid seems pretty reasonable if they don't play anything mid, and then I guess we just Aero the right. Having said that, like, if they do then play around the Aero, which should be pretty easy, we maybe actually just want to put more stats into the left, or the right rather. So I can actually see like this approach. Well, okay, maybe not. We could also just give up mid. It's all a bit sticky, right? You can see why I didn't snap. I really thought this matchup would be better for us, but the Zabu and the Sera is making it pretty awkward. Maybe the Dark Hawk package was not the best bet for this tournament. I didn't spend any time thinking about the lineup. I literally realized that I could play this tournament with like a second to go. All eyes on the card to the right. It's Enchantress to the left. Bast and Enchantress I actually respect. And it's another Enchantress which we should be beating. It's close though. Lovely. Okay, bit of a shame we didn't snap. You can see why I didn't. If they had Shang-Chi, they also would have been able to play Shang there, if I'm not mistaken. Shang-Chi to the right would have been beating us, right? Like the Angela would have grown, would have been 5 points. I don't know, we still would have beaten it. Okay. Maybe we just needed to be a bit more confident there, but it's a good start nonetheless. Kind of sad we didn't snap, but they had like the perfect curve, right? I actually respect them playing Bast and Enchantress in the same deck. There's big anti-synergy there. They have no Killmonger, so we can Iceman. Worry free here. I'm not going to snap because I don't have anything to play on turn 2, but the hand is looking very, very good, that's for sure. No Bast played on 1. It's not necessarily correct to play Bast on 1 anyway. It's my first time playing a tournament off stream, actually. I've always been streaming them. So I'm live just for YouTube if you guys are seeing this. Bar with no name, also very interesting. Let's get the Mr. Fantastic down in Mojo World. I felt like we could probably snap here. They played nothing. Okay, nice. Bit of a bullying snap, but yeah. Maybe like the Iceman hit their Sera or something along those lines, you know. Good start. Going for the Korg middle here. I tend to like playing my first card in the middle location, and then if I draw a 2-cost card, I'll play it to the right. Bit of a bummer. I'm not really sure it's a snap-worthy situation, Necrosha. I mean, my opponent plays Luke Cage, so it probably is actually. Let's get out of there. We could have stayed in, but Necrosha probably does just favor Luke Cage a significant amount. Pretty nice opening hand with the Korg and the Iceman. We'll prioritize the Korg here. As the earlier the rock goes in the deck, the better. Our opponent is on an odd number. I'm on an odd number. So this 1 cube game is actually really significant here. I like the look of Nidavellir. Having said that, there is a Shang-Chi. We actually get the retreat, which is huge. I think my opponent was supposed to stay in this one. They're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cubes. So basically they could have gone down to 5 cubes and it wouldn't have been a big... Because we're on the last round of normal, like non-high stakes. They're now on 6, right? Which gives them basically 3 lives, whereas 5 is also 3 lives. There's a subtle difference because sometimes like you might not be able to deal lethal, but it's so rare that it actually makes a difference. So my opponent probably should have stayed in this one. Alright, here we go, high stakes. We're definitely not running. Quantum Realm is quite a scary one. Dark Hawk does a really good job. Dr. Doom's going to be nice in there too. Bishop is okay for them. Angela's okay for them. I'm definitely not running. Like, we can't get bullied out of it. Would be a mistake to run, I think. 4 cubes on Quantum Realm. Quite scary also, though. But Dr. Doom, Mr. Fantastic, we might be okay. I think we just go Iceman into Quantum Realm here. Quite scared about playing for such big cubes here. We almost want to go into the last turn down and then Dark Hawk into Quantum Realm. Something like that could be nice. Mr. Fantastic's great, but this location is not great. Oh, wow. I wonder if we snap... I doubt they're going to retreat, and I think that like snapping this early is a little bit too over the top risky. I really don't like the idea of playing Mr. Fantastic mid just yet, though. We probably just have to play it mid, though. Like, we don't want to play... The Korg is too slow. Having said that, do we really want to play Dark Hawk so early? So we could go Korg now and then Mr. Fantastic a turn later, but... I guess we just have to accept that we're playing mid. I think it would be wrong to have snapped. I doubt they retreat and just be left at 2 cubes. It's too much of a comeback to make. I think we have very little choice but to Dark Hawk here. Very interesting decision. We have a couple of options. We can Aero the right, or what I actually quite like the look of is Aeroing the left. Aero the left is very interesting because then they can't Enchantress my Dark Hawk, right? We predict them to play Sera this turn. That's going to secure the left lane for us, pretty much. Having said that, they can play a bunch of cards still, so the Bishop could grow. So we would be at 16. Well, we'd actually be at 14 points with Aero left. 14. There with Sera going to be at 12. And then Bishop is definitely going to grow enough. So actually the Aero left is the Aero into the Dark Hawk lane is very, very bad here. I think we're more inclined to go like Rockslide Korg, for example. Hope that they miss Enchantress, maybe. It's looking rough for us. Nah, let's do it because we can Rockside Korg on the last turn to buff up the Dark Korg, right? Okay. I guess if we're going to stay in, we should have snapped at some point because it just gave them, like, more likely opportunity to run. They still have the chance to run. We're staying in it. We're going to Rockslide and Korg. The question is where. So Rockslide and Korg are adding 6 points to the left. They only have 4 cards in hand, so they can play a maximum of... They can get to a maximum of 17, and we're at 20. The question is, do we go all in? They have Enchantress, Absorbing Man, Hitmonkey is like a concern. I think we just put all the stats into one location. The question is which one. Interestingly, if they play mid, my Dark Hawk grows as well. So we can probably predict that they don't play mid. Nice. All the Hazmat. Oh my god! Is it enough? It's not, right? We got them. It's close, though. GG to my opponent. They didn't have the Luke Cage. The Luke Cage dying in Murder World. Heartbreaking for Damati. This was a lot closer than it looked. GG to Damati in the first game. We make it through the first round in what should have been a pretty favoured matchup for us, but I was worried quite a few times. Fun first game. Let's move on to the second round. Let's win this tournament! Alright, ladies and gents, opponent 2 is Cabals. Also said that they're a fan of the channel, which is awesome. This is a very scary matchup, though. They're playing Deathwave. So very similar to our deck, except they have a Death in there. Our early game is going to be a lot better with Iceman and these kind of things. Like, Iceman could be a bit of a decisive one if it can hit their wave. We pretty much just are not going to want to play wave on 5, though, because their wave is going to be much better than ours on average. It's a scary matchup. A really unfavored matchup, I would say. They should have a massive, massive advantage here, so... This might be the end of our tournament run, but we'll see. Superflow. I don't really have too much of an opinion on. We should probably be pretty aggressive with our snaps, though, and just find a game where they're struggling. Korg, Iceman are both getting Killmongered as well, which is a pain. The Doctor Doom find is nice. Also, they have Shang-Chi for Dark Hawk. Now, Squirrel going to Superflow is pretty dodgy. I wonder if we could snap. We definitely need to pick our moments, right? So, I think there's an argument to do so. I don't like playing Dark Hawk early when it can get Shang-Chi'd. I think we need to pick our moments. This seems like one of those moments that we should probably go for. Nice. This is exactly what we need, these like little free wins. Now, they could have stayed in if they had a nice hand, right? That's the risk of snapping here, but we do need to be quite aggressive. Like, this is absolutely going to be crucial. We had a pretty okay curve overall. The Shang-Chi was scary, but, you know, if we snap a turn late after we've already played Dark Hawk, they're already looking at that Dark Hawk with Shang-Chi, right? So... This is pretty good for them. They have Bucky Barnes. We should definitely play quickly before they snap on us. I would retreat on this location, I think. Interesting decision not to play the squirrels there, but of course they do have Killmonger. This game is looking like a retreat. What we can maybe do in some situations as well is wave on 5 and then just retreat on 6, so if they've missed the cards. We're kind of inclined to wave now, to be honest, because we're skipping otherwise. And wave later is pretty bad, as we mentioned. So let's go for the wave now. Three cards destroyed. 4 cards destroyed so they could play Death this turn. Oh, God. We'll play the Doom into Washington because of Citadel. They haven't snapped on us. We would run on a snap. Because they're threatening to play Death and another card here. They've seen half of their deck. They're not playing Chavez, so it's a 50% chance they have death in hand right now. So there's maybe an argument, like, even if they snap, we could stay in it here, because we say half of the time they don't have death. And they should realistically always snap here. I think it just makes sense, because it's a bluff, right? So they actually don't have it, it seems. Both players play Doom, though. We're exactly even on points. The only difference is the wave. Goose is doing very little for us. Dark Hawk is playing too much into Shang-Chi, so I guess we take the rock slide off to the left. We could also consider that they might wave us this turn, and what we could therefore do is just play Mr. Fantastic, anticipating the wave, and then we could go She-Hulk. But like, if they wave us, we're also so scared of death still, right? But they might not have death and She-Hulk. How many cards in hand do they have? 5 cards in hand. Do we think that 5 cards in hand are wave, She-Hulk, and death? Probably not. So the question is, if we play Mr. Fantastic and they wave us, are we even going to stay in the game? Probably. Probably not. I think we just have to hope they don't have the wave. But then again, it's like kind of obvious they didn't have... Yeah, I think we just have to hope that they don't have wave. I feel like if they wave, we're going to retreat on this one. Okay, beautiful. This does feel like the kind of game we need to snap on. We're behind by 2 points. Death costs 5. We can go Dark Hawk, Goose. We could go She-Hulk on our own. How many cards do they have in deck? 6 cards in deck, so the Dark Hawk is huge. Dark Hawk's 12 points. We're playing 14 points. We're down by 2. I think we've got him. Aggressive snap is necessary here, I think. We might just get the retreat. We probably should have roped a little bit longer and snapped a bit later. This might not work out for us. This is also kind of our most obvious play, so they could play to just beat Goose to the right here. They could play something mid for 6 points and just 1 point off. Yeah. It's death mid, which we beat. It's a 14-point death, though, which I didn't do maths on. Do we beat it? Oh, we lose. Heartbreaking. Oh, it's a heartbreaker. So the Dark Hawk had to go middle. Dark Hawk middle would have secured the bag. We lose the tiebreaker on the 2 points that Death had. Neither our Goose, neither our Dark Hawk got buffed by Wakandan Embassy. I'm really surprised they didn't play Death earlier when I waved, because they had it. Look, I think this is a good snap. We have to get aggressive in this matchup. We're very, very unfavored. There's no doubt. Big House should favor us. Just about. I do feel the need to be quite aggressive with the snap still. I have a nice curve. If they've like got no death, wave, She-Hulk in hand at this point, they might just concede, right? Whereas they might top deck it next turn. So I think trying to get them out is good. And if we have to play for more cubes, I have a nice curve. I really think we're just up against it in this one. Plus 5 energy. I don't hate it for us. I don't love it either, though. Well, Mr. Fantastic is always going to go middle. We have a decision to make over a rock slide. Kind of not liking the look of the big house with the Bucky in there. Let's go for this. We have to hope we don't see a Dr. Doom or an Aero come out from them here. We should have also played around Aero a little bit better.
Specimen, truly.
Is it 5 energy they have left? So it could be the Aero here. I don't mind the Goose getting pulled. This is fine. Very little has been destroyed yet, so we're not too scared of the death. So I guess we just take the wave this turn, and then either the Korg or the Iceman. The left lane looks so difficult to win, but we need to put some points there at some point, right? We definitely don't want to play anything mid, because this is the only place my Doom and Aero can go. They snap. I mean, we could run, but then we're at 4 versus... I think we have to stay in this one and just pretend that we're confident when we're really not. I think we're in a very, very bad spot here. But the matchup is so bad. I don't think we can afford to get bullied out. We're not in a great spot, but it could be worse. It could be worse. We have to put some stats left. We have the Mr. Fantastic there helping us. We could go for the Korg over the Iceman, I guess. Is it the Killmonger? Heartbreaking. This wave is just so good for them. You can see why this is such a bad matchup. We need to top deck the Doom or the Aero or the Darkhawk. We find the Doom, which is nice. Gives us something at least. And we have Chavez mid for the last play. It looks like it's all but over here though. Hard to imagine a worse matchup. Tough break on the first one. Losing it by 2 points. Maybe my play was also too obvious though, right? I took the most obvious line rather than an unorthodox giving up the left kind of play. I think we were losing even then though, right? Because we would have lost the tiebreaker. I think we were just in a losing spot. We were just losing to Death that was buffed by Wakandan Embassy. They also didn't necessarily know that though, right? Like if my Goose or my Darkhawk was buffed. Both were buffed, it was a different story. If just the Goose or an Iceman got buffed, for example, in that last game, could have played right and we would have won the game. So it was very risky for our opponent, but it worked out for them. Here we go. It's Doom and Death, most likely. I'm actually quite happy to see the Death go left. Seems like a misjudgment. The issue is that we just don't have anything that can go right to win the lane. We just can't win from here. It's just physically not possible. Interestingly, if we have Darkhawk, Darkhawk actually could, but if we Darkhawk, it's really interesting. Like Darkhawk, Korg, I feel like might do it. What do they have left to play? They have She-Hulk. They can She-Hulk mid. I feel like we have to stay in this one and hope that they realize that Darkhawk right might be winning me the game. What else could they play? We've seen Death. She-Hulk can go mid, which puts them at quite a lot. Darkhawk is worth 10 points on its own, 21. They can't play anything which gets them ahead there. I think we just have to stay in this one. We could retreat and it's a tie, but there's a chance that they retreat and I actually just win the 4 cubes. It feels like the line is to literally end turn. Hope they retreat. And not play anything. Flip. She-Hulk and a rock. This is losing to Korg. Darkhawk, right? GG. Very, very bad matchup for us. We tried. If we had the Darkhawk, we were winning here. I think we played pretty well. We were aggressive and bold with our snaps, but it's such a horrible matchup. It was going to be a tough one. GG.